Good morning, welcome to Thought for the Day. Yesterday I was out and about in the car and I had to drop some stuff off at the doctor's. And on the way back I go in the car and press the button to go home on the TomTom. And it configured the route. Not that I don't know the way home, but it's probably force of habit. But it also gives you the quickest route home. So if there's any traffic jams, it just picks them up and redirects you. And on the way back, I decided to veer off the route and go and check out some petrol stations to see what the prices are and at the moment and to make sure they've got some fuel. In doing that, the TomTom had to reconfigure itself a couple of times. But the interesting thing was it now took me back on a completely different route, totally different to the one it had started off on. And I know where we're going, it's going home, right? But we're now on a different route. And that's a bit like life, isn't it? That if you've got God as your TomTom, as it were, the ultimate destination is home. But the route you may take may be different depending on what you do, depending on what choices you make, what your decisions you take. It all alters the dynamics of how you get to home. And it reminded me of a story that I read recently, and it's interesting that there's a property in North America, and it's east-west facing property. And when it rains, the water that falls on the east side goes down the roof and down the gutters, down the draining system, and eventually ends up in Lake Superior. However, the water that falls on the west side, which is the left side, goes down the roof, down the gutters, down the drains, and down the water system, and eventually ends up in the Mississippi. And so the water, depending on whether it falls on the east or the west side of the house, goes to completely different places. And it's amazing. You know, it'll still end up in the sea, in the water, but it'll go in a different journey completely and end up in two different places. Our lives are designed to end up at home, wherever home is. And I believe, that God has a home for us and a place for us to go to. And so God's TomTom in my life is on an automatic default to send me home. The difference is, though, depending on the journey I decide on, because I make decisions and I make decisions of choice to do things and to change things, may alter the journey. And let's be honest, the journey that we've all been on over the last couple of years, for a lot of people, has been a bit of a roller coaster. And it still continues to be. But the settings in our life are to bring us home. That's the plan, the settings, to always bring us home, the default. So it doesn't matter. We're not like the water that falls on this roof. And if we fall on one side, we end up somewhere. And if we fall on the other side, we end up in a completely different place. Our lives are actually on a route to home. And home is a destination that we look forward to because it's where we're going to spend eternity. And eternity starts, funny enough, is already started. We're part of doing our part of eternity now. But choices we make divert us down different paths and take us in different directions and end up doing different things. Some things will always just happen. Sometimes we get sideswiped by things. Some things we consciously make decisions on, and some we make subconsciously. But we always are going to end up at home. So take heart. If you've had a bit of a rough ride in the last couple of years, and if you're still on a rough ride, the automatic default is to go home if you love God. And the important thing is that we hang on to that. So when we are going through things, just remember that Jesus said, I'll not leave you. I'll not forsake you. I'll not disappear. When all The rubbish of the world is dropping on your head. I'm not going to clear off. I'm going to stand with you. And I'm going to go through it with you. And that's a comfort, because the default, as I've said a few times now, is to get us home. Have a fantastic day. Have a blessed day. Most of all, stay happy. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.